ladies and gentlemen, this is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. We are here in the beautiful Garage Gym, and we are doing a weight plate guide. This is the first one we've ever done. I have on this table every type of weight plate that's available. We're gonna go through all the different types of weight plates, their different uses, the products of different categories in which I would recommend, and tell you which ones I think are best for you based upon your budget and your training. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, for most people starting a home gym, they realize I need weight plates on my barbell, and they're like, it's a weight plate. Weight is weight. The reality is weight is not weight, especially when you're spending your own money. So there's all these different types of weights depending on, one, the type of training you're doing. So if you're powerlifting, you probably want to use more of an iron plate. If you're doing Olympic weightlifting or CrossFit, you want something that's going to like bounce a little bit because you're going to be dropping the barbell from overhead. But there's different types of plates, and then within those different types of plates, there's other subcategories of plates. I'm going to walk through each one, but the two main categories of plates are bumper plates and iron plates. Sometimes they're cast iron, sometimes they're steel, but there's some sort of iron used in the plate. And so those are your two main types of plates. And that's kind of like the first thing that you've got to decide. But first up, the one that most people will look into is iron plates. So let's get into them. Okay, so iron plates is what most home gym owners use. There's a few reasons for that. The main reason is cost. They're the cheapest that you can buy. They're the most often found on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. So if you're looking to add, weight plates to your gym, most of the time, you're gonna first start with iron plates. Now, I don't necessarily think iron plates are the ideal solution for everybody, but oftentimes when you're starting a home gym, you're trying to cancel your gym membership, you're trying to save money, bring your gym into your domicile, and if that's the case, you want to do it as cheaply as possible, and you just can't beat iron. Now, these two plates up here are not the cheapest cast iron plates that are out there. For most of you, I'd recommend something a little bit cheaper, which I'll walk through the different types, but these are the two main types that you will find. One is a cast iron plate. This is the cast iron Rogue Deep Dish specifically. These are the plates that honestly I use most often, and then this is a calibrated plate, which is a steel machine plate that is very calibrated, which means it's like almost within the gram of the weight increment that is on the front. It's designed for powerlifting. It's very thin, so you can fit a lot on the bar. Most people that are looking for iron plates are gonna choose an option kind of like this. When I say kind of like this, it's gonna be a cast iron option. Now, there's a lot of different cast iron plates that you can get that are out there, and I've used generally pretty much all of them. The ones that I'd recommend for most people are probably something from Rogue, because when you actually look at the price point, Rogue's deep dish plates and some of their others, when you include shipping, are some of the cheapest plates that are out there, even though they're machine. Now, you can go with a cheaper option, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to do, but you have to recognize that the diameter of the plate may be different than what you're used to at like a commercial facility. So a few options that are outside of these are like a cap cast iron plate. That's probably one of the cheapest that you can get. Rep also has an old school plate that is very cheap. We've seen some issues with diameter with those over time, but I feel like they've worked out the kinks. Those are gonna be kind of your cheaper plates. But in reality, when you start factoring shipping and everything like that, these from Rogue and some other companies don't fall out too far of that price point. Now, if you are a power lifter and you want something that's a little bit more expensive, is going to be more dialed in, so you know the weight on the front is going to be the weight that it actually weighs, and you like the color and everything like that, then a calibrated plate is definitely what I'd recommend. Many companies are making calibrated plates. They pretty much all come from the same place. They're all imported. I'm pretty sure there's companies working on made in the USA options, but right now as it stands, there really aren't any. So I would go with whichever ones you can get cheapest. I think right now Titan Fitness honestly has the cheapest calibrated plates. They are not, in my opinion, as nice as these. I've touched them in person at their weight room. They're just okay, but for the price, they're the cheapest that are out there. So if you're looking for a calibrated plate where you can fit a lot on the bar, this is a great option. Now, iron plates are, again, great for powerlifting and some of those general movements. But when you start dropping the barbell, that's when you start having issues, because you could potentially damage your foundation. And this is your home, this isn't your gym. It doesn't mean the slab is rated for the amount of weight you're dropping, that sort of thing. So if that's the case and that's you, then the other type of plates that I would recommend are probably a bumper plate. Let's take a look. So if you forgo iron plates, your other option is really bumper plates. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments that are like, you forgot about the didectagon made of urethane. Now, I'm sure somebody in the comments is gonna, bring up some esoteric bumper plate or iron plate, some material I've never heard of. But these are your main options, okay? And within bumper plates, there are multiple subcategories of plates. So first here is a high temp plate, and this is a crumb rubber plate. It's the most crude plate. It's honestly one of the most durable plates. If you go to any CrossFit gym, you will probably find high temps. They will have the center ring beaten out, but they'll still be kicking. Your other option right here is just your standard black bumper plate. And all these companies are making some version of these. This is a urethane plate, which is more like they call them Pro Series a lot of time, but it's really more of like an Olympic weightlifting competition plate. And then this is a competition plate from Eleiko. So these are a few different options. But I'll start with high temps. High temps are great for their durability, and they're crumb rubber plates. I call them high temps because they're one of the first ones to do it. This is actually made by a company called Grayman Gear, which I'm pretty sure they probably employ high temp to make it. They are made in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and they're what you think. They basically take tires, they chop them up really fine, they then put them in a mold with some sort of epoxy, let them bake for a little bit, pop them out, and then you got a waffle, which is basically a bumper plate, and that's what this is. They are crude, like I said, they only come in black. They get very thick, so you can't add a ton of weight on them. There are times where they're a little bit smaller in diameter, so it feels a little bit different than what you're used to, maybe deadlifting off the floor. And the center ring can be galvanized or stainless steel, but oftentimes it will end up popping out. But these things are so freaking durable. In fact, they're so durable, these plates I pretty much just leave outside, and whenever I want to lift outside, I go ahead and use them. These are a standard black bumper plate. This one in particular is made for Titan. Just so you know, we will have all the recommendations down below the like button, along with, I've written articles on all of these, on the best bumper plates, best iron plates, best cast iron plates, best weight plates, all of that. So put all the links down in the link below the like button. The standard black bumper plate is what most people should probably get. It's a little bit thinner than what you're gonna see with a high temp bumper plate. It's gonna be a little bit cheaper. It's not as durable, but for a personal use bumper plate, so like a single use garage gym, they work extremely well. The reason rubber is nice is because it compresses more than cast iron. So think of this, you're lifting, you're dropping something from overhead, something's got to give, okay? The iron is probably not going to give because an iron is a harder product than the concrete you're dropping it on. So oftentimes what we do is we throw horse stall mats or some sort of rubber flooring there. Well, that provides another layer of protection for your foundation. But providing even another layer would be even more beneficial for both your barbell and the floor. That's why bumper plates are nice, because they compress where iron does not. So you can't fit as much weight on the bar, they're a little bit thicker, they're a little bit more expensive, sometimes not as accurate, but they're gonna last a pretty long time. And they're also going to protect your flooring and all the other things you're doing. So if you're doing any sort of like weightlifting, dropping the bar, bumper plates are a great option. If you're going away from those, you want something a little bit more expensive because you like the colors, something a little bit thinner, or maybe you want to use what you use eventually in the platform because you actually compete, then I would recommend a Pro Series or a competition series. So a competition series plate is somewhat like this. This is honestly one of the best competition plates that are out there from Eleiko, very expensive. This is what they use at the Olympics. So a very nice plate. The weight is largely in the center hub. It then attaches to this rubber on the outside. It provides a lot of compression. They're very durable. They also look really good because they're colored. So when they're on the bar, if you're into aesthetic things, they look nice. You want to use them more. This is a urethane plate. Urethane plates are similar in thickness to a competition plate, but rather than just using virgin rubber, they're using urethane. And urethane over the years has gotten some bad raps because it's not been as durable, but a lot of the newer urethane plates have perfected the formula, so they don't really tear apart like they used to. They don't crack like they used to. They have this nice center hub that's attached to urethane. They do what you'd think they do. The difference is they are pretty hard, they don't bounce as much, and they make a little bit more of a thud versus a competition plate. When you're thinking like bounciness and that sort of thing, it's basically gonna be what you think. The crumb rubber plates, they're gonna bounce the most. Then you're probably gonna have your standard plates, then your competition plates, then your urethane plates. That's kind of how it's gonna go. Now, for the recommendation specifically on bumper plates, for just a cheap bumper plate, one of the cheapest that are out there, Titan is often offering one of the cheapest that are out there. That doesn't mean they're the best, it's just one of the cheapest that's available. Rogue makes an Echo plate that is a very good plate, priced extremely competitively when you factor in shipping. Fringe Sport is also making a great option. They have a nice black bumper plate and also some contrast bumper plates and some other cool colors like their Savage versions. There's many companies making bumper plates, but for most people, I think the best like price to warranty to quality ratio right now is typically Rogue Echo plates. I do like Fringe Sports as well though, because sometimes they have sales where they drop pretty low. So I'd look at those. For competition plates, again, you've got a lot of options. Titans is one of the cheapest competition plates. Again, Rep makes also a great competition plate set. They're not quite as good as like a Rogue or a Leico, but for a home gym owner, they're going to be like a good in-between for price. I do like the urethane ones. These are American Barbell urethane. They're some of the best that are out there. Titan also makes a version, and so does Rogue. So there's a lot of different options. If you'd like to see our specific recommendations that we update regularly as new ones come out, you can check the link below the like button to see our full article review. Okay, these are your options. These are all your plates. There's a lot of different options. This is what it comes down to. Number one, like get the thing you're going to use the most. All right, so if you're of the camp that weight is weight, then get whatever the cheapest freaking weight that you've got and just get it as close to the stated weight as possible. The problem when you start getting cheaper weights is they don't always match up with whatever the weight that you weigh them at. So you could have a 35-pound plate. I don't know why you'd have a 35-pound plate, but if you did have a 35-pound plate, you could have a 35-pound plate and it actually weigh 5 pounds less. I've seen it many times. So on one side, you've got actually 30 pounds. On the other side, it may be over, so it's like 37 pounds. So you're like, I don't know why my squat's off. Well, it's probably because you're using cheap weight. So weight isn't necessarily weight. Oh, man, that's a freaking rant right there. However, for most people, get the best quality to actual use you'll get. So iron is like that for most people. If you're going to be dropping overhead, go with bumper plates. Okay, this is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. What plates do you use? If you could have one set in your garage gym, what would be the ones that you have, or what are the ones that you have now? Let me know in the comments. We will see you next time.